Hi, I want to show you how to hire a VA and delegate so you can build an agency that runs without you eventually. This is the first step to building an agency where you are somewhat removed from some of the equation, and really this can be used in any type of business, whether you're a coach, a course creator, mainly agency owners though, because what typically happens is you get to around 5-10 clients and you need to hire a VA because your attention is just spread too fucking thin. And anything that is pulling you away from signing more clients or keeping your current clients happy or improving your product to increase LTV is low leverage. So let me just show you how to remove yourself from the equation when it comes to the low leverage shit that you're probably doing. This is mainly for people that are north of 5 to 10 clients. If you're watching this before that, just fucking sign more clients, like you don't need it. So I'm gonna break down where to find them, how to screen them, and what tasks to delegate first. So before we dive into the how to, first thing I want to address is the mindset piece, because what most agency owners think is, nobody can do it as well as I can, I just need to do everything, it takes longer to explain than to do it myself, and I can't afford to hire help yet. These beliefs are the things that are going to keep you stuck at sub 20k a month. You must hire and delegate to break through that level of business, okay? And when it comes to hiring a VA, they're not going to fucking do it as well as you. They just need to do it well enough for you to get out. Because there was a quote that I heard, I can't remember who it was from, but if you can pay somebody else a fraction of the amount that it would cost you to do it, and they get it 80% of the way done, that's better than 0% of the way done, and you doing 100% of the task. So even if somebody does it 80% of the way, that's still 80% less work that you do. The other thing is the time investment in training pays off exponentially. People think too short term. That's why they are too scared to hire. Because in the short term, when you hire, it's painful. You've never hired anybody. You have no idea how to do it. You have to train them. You have to spend hours every day on calls with them, showing them the shit that you want to delegate to them. But it has to be done. Like, you can't scale your agency without hiring, because the foundation of an agency is your team, your systems, and your processes. You can't get past 20 clients by yourself unless you're running a fucking wizard agency that requires no people. People are the foundation of your agency, because when you sell your agency, which I've heavily considered, I've had a lot of buying conversations, the number one thing that they want to know is, what does your team structure look like? And if you leave, what's the likelihood of them leaving? That's because in an agency, your team is everything. And just to give you an analogy of what this looks like, you want to think about it this way. Let's say you make, say, 10k a month, you're working an average of 60 hours a week. So if we times that by 4, you're working 240 hours a month. Now, if we divide $10,000, the amount you make per month, divided by the hours you work, your time is worth around $41.67 an hour, is what you're being paid to run your agency right now. And obviously that's going to continue to go up. Therefore, any task you have on your to-do list that you wouldn't pay somebody $41 an hour to do for you should be delegated. So for example, if you're on your to-do list, oh, I need to respond to Shelley's email. Ask yourself, if somebody came to me and said, I want $41 an hour or above to complete this task for you, would you pay them that amount of money? And if the answer is no, then the chances are that you're robbing your time and attention right now by focusing on low leverage tasks, because that is your time. And your time is worth, say, $41.67 an hour. That essentially means anything below that cost per hour, you shouldn't be fucking doing. You should get somebody else to do it for you so you can buy back your time and focus on the things that make you the most money. Because not only is it wasting your own time on low leverage tasks, it's pulling you away from the highest leverage activities in your agency, which we've already gone over. Signing new clients and improving your product. They're like the main things, right? You've also got like recruiting talent, building SOPs, whatever the fuck you want to say, but you want to associate a dollar number for every single task that you do in your agency. An example of that would be taking a sales call, might be like a $6,000 an hour task, because if you close one person on a 6k PIF in an hour, it's a 6k an hour task. So you're not going to want to delegate that for a very long time. But then you've got checking email, you've got changing a client's landing page, creating a new client sub-account. These are like $5, $6 an hour tasks that you should immediately delegate, because otherwise you're going to be in a shit position as you scale. And you're going to be in what I call the stage of the agency called stage 2, which is the delegation dilemma, where you're too scared to hire and you're stuck in a rock and a hard place because you know you need to, because you just have too much shit to do. And again, like, just to give you an example, it actually costs you more by not hiring a VA. Because if you do the task, it's costing you $41.67 minus however much you would pay someone else to do that task. And then you get the money wasted. So let's say you're checking your email and it takes an hour and you're responding to share and cleaning it up. Your cost per hour is $41. But let's say you could pay somebody $5 to execute that task. That means you're wasting $36 an hour by doing that task. So hiring for your agency is an investment and not an expense. Every time I hire somebody in my agency, I'm doing it to buy back my time and delegating the task to somebody who is paid less than me. So if I just show you this, and you see here, I put this ladder of buying back my time, it continues at each stage of the business. So let me just pull this up for you to give you an example. I want to use this fancy drawing thing that I just bought. So let me show you. So if I just fucking draw a pyramid here. Ooh, okay. So there is chains. There's a ladder of delegation. Let's just say this is the ladder of delegation. And the first person you hire is this bottom surface, which is a VA. And then you're probably going to hire a media buyer. And then you're probably going to hire an ops person. And then you might hire a CSM. And then you might hire an OM, which is an operations manager who can run the entire company for you, right? And at each new level, the dollar amount of delegation, which I'll explain now, goes up. So it's when you first hire a VA, you might be delegating $5 to $10 an hour tasks, right? But the further up the pyramid you go, the higher leverage tasks that you're delegating. For example, we have our operations manager hire and train CSMs, which is a huge position, super sticky position, and it's hard to replace. That alone is a $300 an hour task, right? But I've delegated that because as you continue to grow your agency, you need to let go more and more, meaning you need to let go of more control. And the higher up the pyramid you go, the more people get paid to solve your problems for you. The reason that I'm delegating $300 an hour tasks is because if my agency does, say, $250K a month, and right now I'm working about 4 hours a month in it, and I'm not even bullshitting you. So if we do that division, this is going to be fucking ridiculous. Realistically, every hour that I spend in the agency is making me 62.5K a month. And then if we do that, I'm not going to get into the profit piece. We do 60% margin just for transparency, but this is a complete side tangent to the video, but I just thought I'd show you this. I'm testing out a brand new raw style. So anyway, I struggled with delegation, like most agencies do, for the longest time until I was forced to hire simply because I didn't have the bandwidth to do everything myself. And if I could go back and tell myself one thing, it would be that hiring is an investment to buy back your time. You cannot get to 6 figures a month without a good team. It's pretty much impossible. And if you do, you'd be burnt the fuck out. So I've rambled on about how important a team is for too long now. So let's go over this in terms of the steps you need to do to delegate. First thing, the key to successful delegation is starting with the right tasks. The first thing you need to do is you need to identify what the hell you need to delegate. So first thing you want to do is you conduct something called a time audit. Now, all you need to do is you set an alarm every 30 minutes in work time for an entire week. Let's say you work from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m., 5 days a week. Set an alarm every 30 minutes. You can literally just go I don't even know why I'm showing you this. It's so retarded, but you get the point, right? You literally just go to your iPhone and you go to timers and you set it as every 30 minutes. And then every time the timer goes off, you stop what you're doing and you make a quick note on what you were doing in that 30-minute window. And you're going to do this for a full week, and it's going to end up looking a little bit like this, where you woke up at 8 a.m., you finished the day at 1 a.m., and you can see here that I went ahead and filled out everything that I did within the day. And what you'll realize is you're probably wasting a lot more time than you think. But that's the first thing. And I know from experience, when I tell you that, it's going to put you off, and your monkey brain right now is going to be like, oh no, we can't do that, we're too busy. Just do it. I promise you, your future self will thank you, because until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate. And at this period of my life in 2024 of August, when I did this weekly audit, this is just one of the days as an example. I thought I was being 100% productive every hour of every day. And then I realized 11 till 1 a.m. I was doing fucking nothing. I was slow working and snacking and watching content. And when I realized that, I was holy shit, I could just be spending time with the family. I could be working on higher leverage things. I can delegate the things I was doing. Now, one thing that you want to do with your time audit is be way more specific on what you was doing, like this. Set up new systems for optimizing client notifications and recording SOPs, organizing tasks, monthly reminder and August planning with sheets. The more specific you can be, the easier it's going to be to understand and identify what you need to delegate. Second thing is you categorize all tasks from the time audit into the time audit matrix. So I'll show you an example of this and the way that I use this. So what you want to do is essentially assign a $hour amount to each task and assign a difficulty level to delegate. So how difficult is it going to be for you to delegate? And the goal here is to bring to your awareness all the low leverage shit that you're doing in the day that you need to delegate. And then all you need to do is start by delegating everything that has the lowest $ per hour and is the easiest to delegate. So here on this sheet, what you'll do is you'll have have this big time audit, and then you go through and you list out all the tasks. So an example of that might be scrolling on social media. You also want to do the things that aren't really tasks that you don't want to delegate. There's also going to be things you want to remove, because what we're going to do is we're going to segment all of the things you did in that week into 3 sections: DEA, delegate, eliminate, and automate. So, for example, scrolling on social media. Another one might be checking and responding to email. Another one might be booking flights for a trip you're going on. For trip I'm going on. Another one might be updating a client's ad account because their ads went down. And then we'll do 2 more. Let's say, for example, onboarding call with client. And then finally, changing a client's landing page. Then what you do is you associate a $1 per hour amount to that task. So scrolling on social media is negative fucking 100. Checking and responding to email, $5 per hour. Booking flights, $10 an hour. Updating a client's ad account because their ads went down, $7 an hour. Onboarding call with client, okay, I'd say maybe like $20 an hour. Changing a client's landing page, $7 an hour. Then, how much do you enjoy it from 1 to 10? Scrolling on social media, maybe you're a little stimulated monkey and you love it, so you put 10. Checking in and responding to email, fucking hate it. And you just put all the things that you love and you hate, like so. Once you've done that, you then put, does this play to my strengths? Yes, no, or kind of, because all of these columns are going to play a factor when we determine what you're going to delegate first. So for example, like, obviously scrolling on social media isn't going to play to anyone's strengths. Checking email, booking flights, onboarding a call with a client. I'm really good at sales. So yeah, let's say, for example, this does play to my strengths. Then what do I want to do with this task? Do I want to delegate it? Meaning, do I want to pass it to my VA or somebody else? Do I want to automate it? Meaning, is there a way or a system or a process I can automate this without having another headache of bringing on a team member? Do I want to eliminate it, or will I do this at this period in time? So if I'm at 10K a month as an example, I want to eliminate scrolling on social media. When it comes to checking email, I want to delegate it. Booking flights, I want to delegate it. Updating a client's ad account, I'm going to delegate. Changing a client's landing page, I'm going to delegate. This one, because it's a $20 per hour task, this all depends on what your baseline $1 per hour amount is, right? Where if you're at 10K a month, you've got 10 clients, you might not want to necessarily hire a client success manager yet. So for this one, you might just put, I will do this for now, but then later down the line, once you get to a point where you've got 15, 20 clients and your biggest constraint is, I'm spending so much time communicating with my clients, then you can revisit this and look at, okay, how do I delegate this? How do I hire a CSM? Then priority. How much of a priority is it for you to delegate, eliminate, or automate that thing? For example, I know that scrolling on social media might be a 911, checking, responding to emails, booking flights, updating clients' landing page. The only one that might not be a 111 is this one, which is onboarding call with clients, because I've got other shit that I need to delegate first. Then you've got difficulty level to delegate, eliminate, alternate. So for example, checking email and responding is like medium difficulty. Booking flights, pretty fucking easy. It's pretty self-explanatory. So you're going to go through and do that. And then finally the status, whether it's done, in progress, do now, not priority, or waiting. And then the way that I do this is we can then follow the 3D process, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So once you've listed these things out, you can then start by delegating everything that has the lowest $1 per hour and is the easiest to delegate. So we can see, for example, booking flights is a $10 an hour task. It's an easy thing to delegate. So in that case, I would immediately start working on that one. And I might just put here, making an SOP on how to book flights tomorrow and training my VA on it. That'll be a prime example, okay? And these tasks have the lowest $1 per hour and are the easiest to delegate, are what we call the low-hanging fruit, which is the shit that you can delegate pretty damn easily and will immediately buy back your time. So now we've gone over what tasks to delegate and how to become aware on a conscious level of what you need to delegate. Where do you actually find quality VAs? Now, you can find them pretty much everywhere, but the best place to find VAs I've found is on this platform called onlinejobs.ph. And all you need to do is put up a job post offering them $600 to $800 a month, because this is what's required for somebody decent to good. You send them an application form, and then you interview the good ones. And I've gone ahead and just linked here an example picture of the hiring process you want to follow. So very simple. They see a job post, which you post about what you're looking for, what you're going to pay them, what their responsibilities are. You then send them to an application form where you have a video explaining who you are, what you do, and why you want to hire them, and who's a good fit, who's not. You then have an email sent to you with the applications. For me, I use a tool called JotForm. You can use Go High Level. You can use anything, really. Then if somebody's a good candidate, we get like 10 to 20 candidates group interview, where we can group interview everybody at once. We've just found it's more efficient, especially if you, the founder, are trying to hire somebody. It's all a volume game with hiring, to be honest. Like, most people hire the first person they interview, and that's the fucking wrong way to do it. Have at least 10 interviews before you determine who you're going to hire. Then the people that are good on the group interview, you move to a one-to-one. Finally, if you want to send like a test project of an example thing that they can do to show you how good they are as an example, I would recommend it. And then you send an offer email and a contract, and then you hire and onboard them, okay? So the 3-step process that I follow whenever I'm hiring a VA, which I would recommend you do the same, is you post a job on online jobs, where you go over like tasks and responsibilities, required skills, working hours, pay rates and payment terms. And another little bonus there, whenever you're hiring anybody or any position, is within the job description, you can add a specific instruction to throw people off and filter out tire kickers. For example, for us, what we say in the job description is, hey, you're going to get asked on the application form what your favorite color is. Put lime to show us that you read through this entire job post. And the reason that we do this is to confirm they are detail oriented, and it immediately filters out anyone who didn't read the full job post. So that's something that you can do. Second thing is you want to create an application form and route all applications there. So you make a video on the application form, and you basically sell them on who you are, what you do, what they'll be doing in the position. And we call this a HSL, which is a hiring sales letter. And then you want to make sure on the application form that you get the applicant to submit a Loom video explaining why they'd be a good fit. Whenever we're hiring for any position, the only thing we look at is the Loom video, just because it's the only thing that really matters. I don't really give a shit about their resume, to be honest. Third thing is we interview candidates who submit good to great Loom videos on the application. We conduct a group interview with around 10 VAs to be as efficient as possible. We then move the good ones to a one-to-one, and then we conduct any final checks like getting them to complete a test project, and finally you can make your hire. A couple of red flags you want to watch for are people that are unreliable, they're late, they reschedule, lack of questions, unwillingness to work, poor communication, vague answers about past experience. They're like some of the main things you want to keep an eye out for. And then when you've found the right candidate, you just make a clear offer, send an email to them with a contract, which goes over working hours, compensation, tools, communication, trial period terms if you're running any trials, and a performance evaluation criteria. So for us, we have a monthly scorecard where we scorecard them and grade them on specific tangible outcomes. An example of that would be if we have a VA that's responsible for onboarding clients, a KPI that we can tie to that to measure success in their role is time to launch. We want to keep our time to launch with clients to sub to 7 days, as an example. And then the only other thing that I want to run you through is when it comes to delegating, because now let's say at this time you've hired your VA, you understand what tasks you want to delegate, you now need to know how to actually take those things you want to delegate and delegate them in the right way. And we do that by following these 3 steps. The first one is demonstrate, second one is duplicate, and then delegate. You would have heard Hormozi talk about this, but I'm going to break it down into the micro if you haven't heard of it before. So the first thing you do is you demonstrate what you want to delegate. And the way that I do this is that I record a Loom video of me breaking down the thing I want to delegate, and then I put it into ChatGPT and tell it to turn the video into a Google Doc SOP, breaking down each step in order. And then I refine and review it and send it off to the VA. So just to give you an example, in License and Scale, we literally just launched a new external accountability dashboard that everybody's going to be using within the program. And I wanted to delegate to my VA to audit that every month, to set the final call of the month to be like a goal reflection and planning meeting, and then also to make sure that the person at the top of the leaderboard had the correct points, everything was assigned correctly, and everybody had all of their data up to date, so we could hold everybody externally accountable and we could all hit our goals. So what I did is I made a video breaking down what I want her to do. I then went into Loom, because I literally just use Loom, and I go to the transcript, I click copy transcript, and then I go into ChatGPT, and then all I do is I put this in and I say, I need help putting this into a step-by-step SOP for my VA to do on a monthly basis. Please be as detailed as possible with checklist, action, items, and add brackets where I need to add images or additional information. And then this is going to help me then go ahead and create that SOP. So this is the way that I typically create my SOPs. I first make a Loom video, I put it into ChatGPT, and then I have it turn it into a step-by-step format. And then what I do is I then refine and review it and send it off to the VA. The other way of doing it is by literally just hopping on a Zoom call with your VA and breaking it down live. And then you can turn that into an SOP. But the key here is having a scalable way of training your VA to take on new tasks. Because when you hire your first VA, it's going to be a little bit more messy because you don't have any SOPs a lot of the time. So you're essentially using your first team member as a guinea pig for building your SOPs for future team members. And this is why you want to document as much as possible, as early as possible. Because the more documentation and SOPs and processes you have in the short term, meaning when you're sub 10, 20, 30K a month, the quicker you're going to be able to scale in the long term. Because usually, if you don't, your biggest constraint is going to be training new team members. So after I've gone ahead and made the Google Doc with the Loom video, I then duplicate. I send the VA the SOP and get them to review it. And if they have any questions on anything, I make it crystal clear that they can reach out to me if needed. And then, in that case, I can either hop on a Zoom call with them and have them do it live with me, and then I can offer live support, or I'll have them do the task, and then I'll review it after and give them feedback. And I'll do this 2 to 3 times until I'm fully confident that they've got it. Finally, after that, I delegate. I now give my VA ownership over the task, and I tell them it's their responsibility to ensure the task is done right. And I also set the expectation on task frequency. For example, if it's a tracking sheet they're filling out daily, I set the expectation it should be completed by around 9:30 a.m. daily every weekday. So I make it clear on the expectation of when it should be done, how it should be done, and if there's any additional information they need. And SOPs are the secret to successful delegation. And in terms of creating those SOPs, as I mentioned, you record yourself while doing the task, transcribe the recording into written instructions using GPT, add screenshots or visuals for clarity if needed, and then you can store it in a central location accessible to all relevant team members. And the place that we use for that centralized location is school. So if I give you an example inside my agency, we house all of the SOPs that I've been able to develop and build over the last 3 or 4 years running my agency in here. So instead of me having to manually train people now, which you'll be doing when you bring on your first VA, it's all in one place, saves me so much time, and I get way less questions. And my team have the autonomy to do what they please because they already have the direction and the blueprint. So that's pretty much everything. I know this was super long-winded, and if you want access to my SOPs and you want all of my hiring, blueprints, SOPs, systems, snapshots, whatever the hell you want, check the link out below this video. I've got something to sell you, and I'll see you on a call if you want to buy it. See you then.